Shabbat Shalom. This week's Parsha of Ki Tissa contains a paragraph with which, no doubt, you are familiar. It is a paragraph that we use as part of the liturgy for Friday night and for Shabbat morning, and is the introduction to Kiddush on Shabbat during the day. The paragraph is Vishamru. Vishamru b'nei Yisrael et Shabbat. Surely the children of Israel shall keep the Shabbat as a covenantal sign between God and the Jewish people. And how is Shabbat the sign of this relationship that is an eternal covenant between God and the Jewish people? The Vilna Gaon, the greatest scholar of the 18th century, gives a long and convoluted answer to that question, and it's too complicated to go into in detail in the short Dvar Torah. But the Vilna Gaon says two things. One, he points out that the word olam appears twice in the Vishamru, but once it's spelled in what's called Ktiv Maleh, in the full vocalized version, Ayin Vav Lamed Mem, and the next time it's spelled Ktiv Chaser, in the shortened, non-vocalized Ayin Lamed Mem. So the question arises, why in the same paragraph would the word olam be spelled two different ways? And his answer is, based on a midrash, that olam without the vav can be read as le'alem, to be lost, to be disappeared, which then leads him to a story and an argument in the Talmud. In Masechet Shabbat, two 3rd century Babylonian rabbis argue the question: if someone is lost in the wilderness and doesn't know what day Shabbat is, then what is one to do? Rav Huna says that he should count 6 days, and then on the 7th day should keep the Shabbat. Whereas Rav Chisda says that he first should keep the Shabbat and then count 6 days. What's the difference according to the Gaon of Vilna? In the first opinion, Rav Huna follows the example of God, because as God created the world, 6 days God took for creation, and on the 7th day created Shabbat. But the first human being, according to Rav Chisda, was created on a Friday, which means that the first day for the first human was Shabbat, and then Adam counted 6 days until the next Shabbat. All of the decisors of Jewish law, beginning with the Rambam and following, rule according to Rav Huna that someone who is lost counts 6 days and then celebrates Shabbat. And the Vilna Gaon tells us that the reason that the entire weight of tradition follows that example is because this is what it means to keep Shabbos. It means to create for 6 days like God did, and then to create Shabbat like God did. If we were to do what the first Adam did, then it would be a completely human experience. But if we do what God did, then we participate with God as a partner in the creation of the world. And the world is recreated every single week, and that creation is celebrated every Shabbat. It is according to the opinion of Rav Huna that we understand that Shabbat is the most important way to come close to God and to be imitatio Dei, to imitate God's ways. As you celebrate Shabbat this week and every week, may you be mindful of how God is part of your life and how you are critical to God's universe. I wish you a Shabbat Shalom. May you have a Zis and Shabbos.